I'm a Transformers expert, so sit down, class. Back when I was in high school and I had to make a website in Dreamweaver, my website was about how cool I thought Liokaiser was, so trust me when I'm coming from a place of professional and hobbyist expertise when I look at this video that Hasbro put up that I actually already watched once. Anyway, look, it's Liokaiser Day. It's Liokaiser. They've got this whole graphics treatment. There's a neat thump and beat going on, but I want to do some frame by framey through this just to point out a few things. So number one, and this is confirmed now at a panel, the crotch and thighs are a separate piece. Everything else is built in, but in case you couldn't tell that the crotch and thighs are a separate piece, you can really clearly see here that Jaruga slash Jargar or slash Jalgwa, or however you want to pronounce what is actually canonically pronounced as Jaruga, because that's what the katakana says. You can see that he's just like sitting here and kind of holding in some back mass, filling in as the abs, so just in case you need to know. Also, dedicated elbows here for the arms. That's pretty cool. I can't tell how the interlinks work, but I think that there is sort of a rail slot down on the shoulders, and I think it might be Combiner Wars hunks for the legs, just given some of the stuff that you can see on these CAD models. By the way, it says digital renders shown. These are CAD models. These are Age of the Primes CAD model style, because they got that weird texture on them. So they have that odd, like, edgeless, soapy look. So I think this is actually going to look better when it's a physical item. Also, I want to make sure that my mic is working. It is. We're OBSing this. So it's the Liokaiser. Liokaiser, if you're from parts of America. They're gonna go through some turnarounds here. There's 6 members, obviously. There's some funny names. You can see here on Leozak, I think those things are relevant to the shoulder combinations, the things on the sides of his ankles. Those little hunklets. Those I believe have to do with how the shoulder combines with the arms. They've got a look going on. They're a little bit hunky. They all got kind of little heads. I believe it's implied they're all deluxes. The combined form is a foot tall. You'll see. I don't know how they're getting away. We can't show this. This is copyright infringement. Like, they got it tilted here, but Hasbro taking risks. So Leozak, I think Leozak gets across the proportions of these folks pretty clearly. Little head, big legs, ball socket wrists, and thin thighs. So they all kind of have like a bit of a bulkened, how do you put this? 2010s generations-ish vibe going on, I find. I do like, you can see there inside the legs, there's a full-on C-clip for connecting the legs together. So no pegs. That's going to be a click. They've got the breasts. The chests. They've got a little bio here. It's whatever. Apparently the Liokaiser head is built in on this one. The only add-on bit is the crotch. So I think that the head, considering how small it might be, I think it looks pretty neat. But the proportions on these, whether or not they work for you, that's going to be completely subjective. I do think Guy is wearing this aesthetic a bit better, mostly because he's got like a bulbous head. And you can see on the side here the elbow hinge there under his extended right forearm. They've all got, I think they all might have balls. No, I think some of them have mushroom peg wrists. But more importantly, you can also see the Liokaiser fist there inside the leg. So I believe that the legs do the... for the arm mode, they do the double hinge, used to be slider thing, but now double hinges like a Combiner Wars aerial bot thing. Some I'm not clear on, and I think that you can tell in the combine mode photos. I don't think there's anything under the chests. I think when you remove when you remove the breast from the breast force member, you just, I think, get a socket. I don't think there's like a spring out bit in there. But, yeah, I could be wrong. It's just from what I have seen so far, I suspect that's the case. Funny name, Elbat. I love this name. I think it is extremely funny. Arguments can be made whether or not a collector item that is made to order / pseudo crowdfunded, as Hasbro Haslab is, whether they could have just said hell. But I think LBAT is funnier. It's accommodating the people in my neighboring province of Quebec quite nicely. And his head sculpt also, like, I think turned out pretty well because the shape. Something about the Leozak head sculpt, just to bop back a bit. Oh, we can't show this footage. There we go. The side cresty bits somehow feel a little bit more like flumpy in a weird way, whereas the ones here on LBAT feel a little bit less so. Let's get to my frame, but no, that's not what I want to do. I'm just typing Cyrillic now. I don't want to look at. What am I looking at? The Shakira Grammy. If I just click on the search bar, these are the 3 things they offer me. Okay. I don't know if you can see that one. Are we getting this? Yeah, this is showing up on the... I don't understand. But I just wanted to frame by frame back here a little bit. There are double mushroom, looks like mushroom connectors, basically, on the thighs. The hunky bulkiness, you can see the other Liokaiser fist there inside the leg. The hunky bulkiness is not really bothering me that much, but it also, like, is nothing that I'm, like, gonna go to bat, like, what a fantastic aesthetic! I suspect it's mostly in service of the Liokaiser combined mode. But they are showing, in these CAD model renders at least, that there are joints and stuff. I believe that, you can see the elbow there for Liokaiser. This also, I believe, shows that there's not going to be any waist swivel on Skyhawk and LBAT. Could be wrong, but I suspect what with that giant hinge there, it seems unlikely. Another, mentioned this a little bit earlier, another big debate to be had for the next year, whether or not they should have said Jalguar or Jaruga or whatever. It doesn't really matter because it's the katakana is Jaruga. And then however you want to Romanize that is up to your taste. It doesn't actually matter that much. Obviously, it is supposed to be a play on Jaguar. So, do what you gotta. But, let's, as I mentioned before, we know that the crotch, right, is a separate piece. That was not known properly for a good couple hours today. And I think that in this turnaround, if they hadn't clearly said it at the panel a little bit ago, you'd be able to tell. Where would they be on here? Where would those giant thighs be, even if the crotch was accordioned up in the backpack? Should they have done TFC Toys' approach on this with just a big humpin' Jaruga? I think that would have been cool, given that everyone else is already kind of hunked up. But, I also don't really mind either way. We'll see how this thing goes together. I have a bigger thing, which I'll bring up once we can more clearly see the crotch. But, yeah, there's the little ankle missiles in place, hip wheels with 5mm, ports on the rims of those wheels, the back wheels. I think the head sculpt in this one turned out super well. Jaruga's always got, like, the advantage of big red shades, which are hard to not turn out well, because they hide, like, half the face. Drill Horn here is one of the 2 tanks. I have seen some talk about the tanks looking kind of malformed and deranged, and yes, those legs are messed up. I don't really mind, because I already own the TFC Toys Liokaiser alike, Hades, and the tanks. In order to form structurally sound legs, it seems like that kind of comes with the burden of being kind of hunked up, in lieu of perhaps having that stuff like accordion in a bit more. I have also seen, and I think this is a valid discussion to have constructively, fruitfully, that there does seem to be a bit of budget crunch, not crunch so much as a ceiling on how far some of these can go in their deluxe spaces, even though this is a quote-unquote crowdfund. I have lots of thoughts about that for the purposes of discussion as well, but regardless, I think this is also the case of wanting... This thing is going to be a $300 America dollar, we'll just call it a pre-order. So I believe there was a goal to still have a number that doesn't make everyone just choke on the spot. Instead, have a number that just makes a number of folks choke. 300, 299.99 seems to have gone over as a that's less than I thought from even folks who were also kind of hoping this would be closer to 200, 250. So this definitely would have been more like past the 300 mark, I think, if there was more svelteness on the tank folks. But also, that does not invalidate if you are simply not digging how malformedly hunked these two are. I think the shoulders are super weird. Like, that arm pointing forward is kind of, that's a super weird axis of rotation. I'm not sure, like, what it is in service of. I suspect it is in service of the tank mode, having the treads line up and everything. There's a lot of like micro decisions on Transformers design that I think it's a cascade effect of stuff being in service of stuff and juggling and spinning all those plates. We'll see hopefully once there is especially like a physical prototype of this in existence, maybe some of this will also help, or that will help some of this make more sense. The head sculpt's okay, he doesn't have like a big unicorn horn or anything, but he's got enough horn for me. My drill horn only needs to be like moderately horned. And then we got oh wait, let's see the back view since we're about to spin to another one. Yeah, there's by the way a Liokaiser foot / heel. I think he's got the same thing on both sides. But yeah, Kill Bison. They got to use the word kill. I was making a joke that it was going to be like they can only pick one. Is it going to be Kill Bison, Hellbat, or Breast Force? And the joke played out because it is Kill Bison and L-Bat of the Chest Dash Force. So unintentional. It's my fault, basically. I'm the one who invoked that to occur / manifested. But yeah, Kill Bison here, they are obviously, they are evoking the pose that he is not going to fully do, which is flipping off the camera. But I think this shows, the highs and the lows of the hunked up legs, because in the side view that one could see here on Drillhorn, where he's kind of just like standing squatting, it looks kind of messed up. But on Kill Bison, when the legs are splayed outwards and you look from the front, the way that geometry works hides that hunkage a little bit from this angle, compared to the previous look on Drillhorn. Either way, they are hunked up, and that's up to you how you feel about that. I'm ambivalent. I'm kind of like, I'm not cheering for it, nor does it really wreck my experience. I think the head sculpt looks good, but I mean, Kill Bison's hard to get wrong because he's a visor and a faceplate. So what do you got to do? Give him little ears. We can't see this. Okay, 6-1. As a lineup, I think that their general aesthetic at least makes them look like a unit, for better and for worse, depending on your taste. I think Liozak and Kill Bison and Drillhorn suffer the most, whereas Skyhawk, L-Bat, and Jaruga look a lot more like they just happen to be Transformers. Liozak, Kill Bison, and Drillhorn look like they are Transformers who are shouldering the burden of doing a thing, which is in giant purple letters above their head. We can't see this! Alright, I typed in a period again, and okay, Shakira Grammy Performance, Bianca Sensory Outfit, and MLB The Show 25. Those must be the 3 biggest things to search on YouTube right now, and I don't care about any of them. My apologies to fans of whatever those words are I just said. By the way, shouts out to whoever made this presentation. It's a, good transparency border on the turnaround here. Or I guess this is a still image. Yeah, it's not spinning. That's a still. Okay, it's still impressive, but easier to do. I was hoping at this point they were going to show us maybe how some of the interlinks work on this piece, but alas, we are without. So I'm still kind of like guesstimating. But we got a little turnaround here. The ultimate chest dash force combiner. Down there on the legs, you can see that, yeah, it's a foot / heel, because one flips out of each side for symmetry, / support. Hopefully they click into place when they flip out. And you can also see the hunking of the legs is in service of this mode to give Liokaiser there some stability leg hunk in the Z-axis. The sides of the arms, I think they look fine. I mean, if you want to really get like persnickety about like visible bits of the little robots, that is your freedom to do so. It doesn't really bother me that much because I know that he's made out of little robots, if that makes sense. Some of the still images, I'm not sure if we're going to get turnarounds of all of them in here, but it is kind of funny how much the insides of Liokaiser's legs do just look like the two tank guys standing there. And thanks to some of the other still imagery that did accidentally, I think, come out through IGN a bit early, those green Liozak wings can fold forwards to accommodate raising the arms. The wing tips on the shoulders can fold down to accommodate stretch goal guy in his third mode or fourth mode, I guess, depending. I'll say fourth mode. Yeah, it's more of a fourth mode. But proportionally, I don't mind this. This gives me the basic Liokaiser look. It would have been neat if his knees could like click forwards slightly for that, dynamic S stance that he has in fact, the footage, I believe, right here. It would have been cool if this toy could do that stance, but I think that perhaps is outside the purview of its designated needs. Oh, here we go. This is a better view. You can see the arm stuff I was talking about. How is that working? Oh, okay, that's just Skyhawk's torso folded forward. You know what? If the torso, you can see, so you see what I mean, right? The Skyhawk's torso folded forward on top of his abs to do the arm mode. Maybe that means even if they don't have a waist swivel, perhaps Skyhawk and Elbat have a pseudo ab crunch available to them when they don't have a chest in place. Now I'm just realizing. This is, I think, also all kind of communicating to me that, yeah, there's probably just a hole there of some kind, or at least a gap when you remove the chest. And that's fine. I don't really, like, it would be neat if there was a spring out panel, but especially given the nature of the combination and that these are aiming to be deluxes, I think that might have been too packed to also have them be modernly interesting rather than an assembly of limb blocks. But you can see here what I mean about the Liozak wing folding forward to accommodate raising the arms. That's very pleasant. You can also see down there on the Kill Bison leg what I mean about... Someone in the Discord said it kind of looks like Kill Bison and Drillhorn are just having a funny little conversation, and I don't disagree. Looking at it now, I'm curious... The knee joint on here, I think, is part of the separate crotch piece. Basically, that waist skirt and the thighs are a separate piece, from what I can deduce. I'm curious if the knee joints are part of that too, but on this version of the model, that is a Kill Bison colored piece of knee, but I mean, that could still be connected to the separate piece. I'm thinking that the just below the knee joint is a thing that slots into the hole. And then it looks like in this case you could put the breast partner over top of it. I'm wondering what it would look like if the bison breast was not in place. That would help me know what's going on, I think, a little bit more. Also, yeah, it's running till March 24th. They need 10,000 back, whatever. The crowdfund language of Haslab I find to be a little bit trite, given what I believe to be the nature of what Haslabs actually are, which is they are not lying. I believe that these are made... I will describe these as, more accurately, made-to-order pre-orders where their pre-order status and subsequent manufacturing is dependent on a minimum number of pre-orders. This is basically presenting a project semi-internally at Hasbro to the higher-ups who don't care about any of us or any of the people below them, to prove the piece should actually be made. And those higher-ups, I believe, are more responsible for leaning into this crowdfund language, even though some of it, I believe, does not make sense in the context of what these are. And this, this is leaving out the whole argument whether or not, does a corporation need to crowdfund? I think this is more of an interest raise than a crowdfund, if that makes sense. But I'll leave that for another time. I've discussed it on streams before. I have a whole outlook on that. Are the arms too hunked? I don't think so, because they can bend. I think that the elbow bend is probably limited to what you are seeing there. I think that it's like the joints will all work, but he's probably not going to be able to pull like wild superposes. I'm kind of, I'm making assumptions and also educated guesses, and also trying to set some expectations a little bit. None of this is meant to go like, and thus it is crap, because I think it still is looking pretty solid for what it's doing. it's not like, how do I put it? It's not. I'm gonna talk about this guy too. It's not like sending me into orbit necessarily, but I do think it looks cool, and I would like to accommodate actually being a backer on this one, because I like some of the vibe of what's going on. Um, Generally, I consider Haslab Transformers projects, and I believe that their packaging supports this. They are aiming to make Generations-style versions of these characters, and that comes with a certain amount of visual and play pattern motif that I expect. That's also why I am kind of having the expectation that that crotch hunk can turn into a funny shape. I've already set up some headcanon that it is the evolution of the biggest breastmaster, the breastmaster that subsumed and outgrew the very breast it once serviced. Anyway, the first unlock... Okay, you know what? They are not saying stretch goal. Okay, I'm okay more so with that. I still think this is a bit of a ridiculous notion. But in this case, for this guy, a little bit less so, because it's not just like an accessory. It is a full figure. Regardless, I'm just happy that I'm not seeing the word stretch goal. That always kind of would tweak me a bit. Maybe they haven't said it for a while. I just keep seeing people say it. I think I'm very particular about my language. I think that stretch goal really needs to mean a certain thing. But they are doing Death Cobra in the not leaked, but posted too early by IGN gallery. We saw Death Cobra was there. Death Cobra, here is proof that there is a robot mode. Death Cobra is clearly, built on the back of the notions of Skyhawk and L-Bat, and who knows, maybe Age of the Prime Vortex too. But you can see right there, and you could see this in those initial leaks. I made a professional little graphic in MS Paint and everything to point it out, that there is a fist inside his leg so he can form the Hellbat arm. Sorry, the L-Bat arm. But it also says right there, Liokaiser Combiner Roll, left arm or shoulder cannon. And I think it's neat to accommodate a seventh guy. I know that a lot of people liked how Iron Factory did it. For whatever reason, Iron Factory's approach of having like a billion helicopter blade wings kind of didn't really do it for me, because there was not a similar piece that were two giant bat wings for putting Hellbat on the back, or two giant hawk wings for putting Skyhawk on the back. Basically, if you're going to do one, you got to do all of them in my personal aesthetic needs. But Death Cobra is looking pretty solid. You can see the death boob, the Cobra boob right there. Curious if we can get a look at the back a little bit more, because I think that basically he is a robot built in the same way as Skyhawk and L-Bat, but with a semi-folded helicopter on his back, as opposed to, pieces of a folded airplane on his back. Second unlockable tier is the electromagnetic nunchaku accessories. For the sake of my friend Mike, I will point out it is not a nunchaku, it is a 4-section staff. But also, hey, maybe that's just by coincidence, Cybertronians call this weapon nunchaku, and it turns out humans use that word too. I'm mostly doing this to be annoying. Anyway, I'll be surprised if this doesn't get made, given that it seems like the most complex part of it is the existence of chains. But, there's Liokaiser holding the thing. It does have chain sections, so you're gonna need armature display stands to do dynamic poses with it. Bear that in mind. It's neat, though. I'm wondering if it is supposed to come apart at all into little staffs that the little guys can use. That's not really clearly communicated to me here. And then the third unlockable tier is the display stand, which looks like it is actually 3 triangles connected together, which has led some to posit that, hey, maybe it's actually 6 display stands, and then you can put them all together into one for Liokaiser. It has also made some people posit, hey, maybe these are display stands that are going to be meant to work with, a bunch of combiners that have been in Generations for the last few years. Who knows? If they don't make the display stand, base, I won't lose sleep over it, but I suspect with Transformers Haslabs specifically, that these will all be made regardless of if every one of these tiers is actually hit. Just given, let's just call it what I detect on the winds of past. But there you can see the first time that we saw Death Cobra this morning. You could, if you looked at the biggest version of that photo, you could see a fist right in there on the left of the inside of the cannon barrel, which looked exactly like the fist that's on Elbat. I pointed it out as much as I could, but I don't need to anymore because they made this helpful infographic. And nullified my 60 seconds of work in MS Paint, even though I signed my name on it and everything. So, this thing is looking interesting. Obviously, I sort of encourage a bit of a chill tone looking at stuff like this, because also, regardless of if you're backing or not, it will not ship until, like, halfway through or later next year. So I personally just try to... I'm very much a believer in living in the present outside of, like... Obviously, if you want to secure getting one of these, you have to pre-order it before March 24. But are they going to go to a Liokaiser shot at the end of this? Because I'd like to pause on a Liokaiser shot, please, if I could. There we go. Oh, wait, that's... I want to go to... Don't let the Autobots win! Show me another one. There we go. Does this spin, though? Does it spin? It doesn't spin. It's a still image. So yeah, $299.99, by the way, plus a bit of an extra, like, let's just say $20 or so, in the case of a Canadian, at least. I'm not sure what Americans are facing in that regard. That's totally fair. Shipping costs, all things considered right now. We are in still the global logistics disaster. Logistics and manufacturing disaster. With a little sprinkling of trade war now, on top. So I think this is neat. I think that if you are gunning for it, then, like, hey, you've got actually over a month to sort out whether or not you can throw in a backer pre-order. But even then, if you can't, you're able to order up to 5 of these as a single human. So if you do find yourself unable to accommodate this during its backer window, spread the word amongst your friends and communities. There is a non-zero chance someone may have an extra lined up. And even then, if you can't pull that off, the let's say quarter, the 3-month window that takes place starting when this begins arriving at people's doorsteps, there's a decent chance you'll get a decent price on this at a convention show floor. And by decent, I mean like a $50 to $75 markup, which at that point I feel like is not unfair to have to deal with. That's kind of what I have been assuming anytime that I missed one of these. I lucked out and got a friend hookup on Deathsaurus, and I'm seeing what'll happen with Omega Prime, because the window on that also did not work for me in my life. But I'm interested in it because it looks fun. And similarly with this, the window on this might actually work for me. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I think it looks pretty neat. I think there are definitely some hunkages that could put some folks off. And if you really just don't like the crotch, then hey, you know, it does have a separate crotch. I mostly just want that crotch to do something. If the crotch doesn't do something when it's not a crotch, that is creatively and play patternly dissonant from every other combiner accoutrement that has existed in generations to date, because the combiner wars hand-foot guns were guns, the skeletons in Menasor and Superion turn into things. Regardless of how you feel about what they turn into things, and that is always my need. If there are extra combiner pieces now, I need them to do something, because I require that for my own enjoyment of transforming robot pieces. So hopefully the Liokaiser crotch does something, and if it doesn't, hopefully I can yell about it enough now that maybe they can work something in, you know, just sculpt some missiles on the insides and let me peg it onto Jarugalalguar's back or something like that. Why don't you comment about how you feel about Liokaiser, because that is the implicit function in part of this very video. And by the way, did you know I stream? I do. And these are usually a little bit more interesting when I'm talking to humans, but I wanted to do one of these things. I've done these before. I'm a Transformers expert. I'm a Transformers expert was going to be like my key phrase to end the video, but like I have to hang around a bit, you know, for